The Metal Max series has been going strong for 31 years. Its legacy, undeniable. But I've never actually played any of those old games, so wait, hold on. Didn't I start the last video like this? Metal Max Xeno Reborn is a remake of a Vita game that I've never played. Well, I played the remake, but not the Vita game. Anyway, months ago, PQube reached out to me to take a look at it for the channel. Probably because they could smell my love of budget RPGs all the way from the UK. Maybe that's a sign I need to take a shower. Hey everybody, what's going on? Live Action Cullen here. It's been a while, you look great. For the sake of complete transparency, I should mention that PQube did send me the physical limited edition of this, which is very nice, thank you very much. But it won't affect my opinion on the game as a whole. Just wanted to make that completely clear. Oh, you know it's got that dog in it. Metal Max Xeno certainly has ambition, and while I love budget games with ambition, the ratio of ambition to jank here is a little wonky. Reborn is neat, which is now Cullen shorthand TM to say, this game has the spirit, but misses the mark in regards to execution in a few crucial areas. I came away with not too much to say about the experience, but here are my vague, jumbled, messy thoughts. I imagine a lot of you haven't played the original, and plenty of people will stumble upon Reborn on a whim and decide to jump into the series here. I did, and decided to not do much research into the series to offer a newcomer's perspective. Supposedly, despite offering what I imagine is a decent amount of quality of life improvements, Reborn cuts a chunk of content from the original Xeno. I don't know exactly what those cuts were, but if there are any Metal Max fans in the audience that would like to provide some insight, let me know in the comments. Xeno is a non-linear, vague, open-world-ish, story-light, post-apocalyptic RPG with tanks. And a dog with a machine gun on the tank. If that doesn't convince you that these devs have something cooking, I don't know what will. Who's a good boy? Kill Pochi! Kill! If you're not into games that drop you into the thick of things and expect you to figure out everything fast, Metal Max probably won't be your cup of tea. If you've ever found yourself bouncing off a Saga game, this will filter you. But hey, Saga fans, maybe take a look. Not a guaranteed recommendation to you all by any means, but if there's anyone weird enough to enjoy a game like this, it'd probably be you all. The premise is you're recruited into a ragtag group of survivors with the goal to do just that, survive. The wasteland that was once Tokyo is full of the remnants of the robots that caused the apocalypse called Suns and giant bugs. So yeah, not for the arachnophobes out there. I won't go into the story further because that's not what I think Xeno really focuses on. The characters are charming, sure, but it seems like the focus of the devs was the setting, gameplay, and world. Reborn's premise is a home run, and it delivers some solid atmosphere. The desert setting looks good for a game in the AA space, and the music establishes a strong mood. It conveys the post-apocalyptic setting quite well, feeling lonely and desolate even when you manage to find other party members to join you on your aimless quest. Just driving through the wasteland and seeing the remnants of civilization was consistently engrossing. And hey, maybe this is just me, but I think there's decent potential for a spin-off that maybe lessens the combat a bit and really hones in on exploration and the bleak tone. I live for that kind of shit. Give me more of that game industry. In Reborn, there are two types of gameplay: the overworld tank exploration and then dungeons where you explore on foot. You'll spend most of your time in the tank, and thankfully it controls and feels pretty alright. There's also a day-night system where monsters get stronger at night. Battles in your tank are a fun combination of tank action with actual aiming and an ATB-style combat system. Battling on foot plays out just like traditional ATB, and that's honestly better to do mainly in the dungeons, because if you do so outside in the world without your tank, you'll probably die fast. See, the tank customization is the big sell gameplay-wise, and I was pleased with just how deep it went. You gotta make sure your tank is worthy for man's best friend over here to sit on. No, Poochie, don't get off the tank! No! Every time you make it back to your base or just wipe, your tanks are automatically repaired and you can spend any money and resources you found to improve them. Keep in mind, though, that recruiting a new party member doesn't necessarily mean they come with a new tank, which was kind of annoying to wrap my head around. The game doesn't really tell you how to get new tanks either, so I played a good chunk of the beginning with my first 2 party members, consistently jumping out of my tank to fight enemies. Guys, just stay in the tank. No, stay in the tank. Why would you get out of the tank? I'll just tell you what I didn't know for hours and save you a ton of time. See this item in the shop? The metal detector? Buy it. I know it's expensive, but save up. This is mandatory. Tanks can be found buried underground, if not from defeating suns on the map. But you probably won't be able to defeat any of them unless you have more than 1 tank in your party. You can assign 1 party member to one of your tanks when you sortie out to the wasteland. So you'll have to make sure your tanks are well stocked and kept up to date. When you finally get into the groove, the gameplay loop becomes fun, but you really have to work for it, which, you know, isn't fun. Localization wise, it reads fine, but there are some pretty noticeable typos. I'm okay being mean about this because I'm actually friends with the guy who translated this, and because I know he's doing pretty good for himself right now, I feel okay to say that he owes me a coffee next time he visits the States for making me read said typos. Oh, the humanity. Typos. I have been so wronged. Also, while we're talking about the more technical aspects of the game, I'd recommend against getting it on Switch, which is the platform I played it on for this video. If you've built up a thick skin against Switch port gunk, go for it, I guess. But if you have any other platform, get it there. I feel my footage speaks for itself. This motion blur with that frame rate, it just hurts my soul. As for far more substantial problems, I think the balance is kind of off. Combine this with how vague Reborn gets with informing players how to progress, and it leads to an experience that frustrates more often than it entertains. While I tend to value aspects that go into game design besides just the gameplay, even I have my limits. The lack of direction is the biggest strength and weakness all in one. Death in Reborn isn't too much of a punishment. Like I said earlier, you get sent right back to your base, but when you hit a wall because your numbers just don't match up, it can feel downright frustrating. I've explored all I can. Guess that means it's time to grind. If you don't like the nature of the grind, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. And honestly, even if you do typically like grinding, you could still bounce off of this because since the battles are all pretty slow, the grinding just isn't that fun. So yeah, another short video on a neat game that will vibe with some of my fellow budget RPG connoisseurs, but not all. I felt it difficult to stay invested on this one because the gameplay jank and balance issues were perhaps too much for me to stomach. It might be worth checking out on a sale if you're looking for a very different kind of JRPG than what you typically find out on the market. I had originally planned to end this video a lot sadder because the planned sequel was actually canceled pretty much as soon as this one got localized, but now apparently Cygames bought the rights to the series and appears to already be working on new entries, which is nice. Metal Max has a strong hook, but I think a higher budget and better direction would really sell the experience. The identity is there, it just needed extra polish. Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the video. I'd like to thank PQube for sending me a copy of the game and for being patient, and also, as usual, at Supreme Zerker for helping me edit the script. If you guys don't know, the channel is supported via Patreon. If you'd like to get early access on videos, see work in progress edits, and behind the scenes content, check out the link in the description to find out how. You might also be able to get a vocal shoutout, like the following individuals. This month's Metal Royal Slimes are Alex Austin, Autumn Jennings, Courtney Littleton, and Noravan, Happy Emmons, Hornkerling, Frozen Ace, Jeremy DeForest, Looping Pyre, Moon Watcher, Renteka Bond, Revan, Snigs, Wayne is Boss, and your friend Chuck. Once again, thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I will see you all next time.